but it just never ran right. The transmission was jerky. It just was not a good drivetrain. I complained to the dealer multiple times about that, and they just said that's what it was.
You're about to watch tens of thousands of dollars vanish. And it won't be a scam, a stock crash, or a bad investment. It'll be a car sitting in your driveway. Some vehicles lose 50, 60, even 70% of their value within just a few years of leaving the dealership. Today, we're naming 8 specific cars that are bleeding value faster than almost anything else on the road, and what you should know before you buy or sell. Tesla Model S, when cutting edge becomes yesterday's news. There was a time when owning a Tesla Model S felt like owning the future. Smooth, silent, blindingly fast, and surrounded by all that touchscreen technology. It was unlike anything else on the road. But here's what Tesla didn't put in the brochure. The Model S is one of the fastest depreciating luxury vehicles in America right now. A brand new Model S today starts around $75,000. But look at a 3-year-old version of the same car. You'll find them sitting on used lots for $40,000 to $45,000. That's a loss of roughly $30,000 in just 3 years. Some configurations have dropped even steeper. Why does this happen? A few reasons work together to punish Model S owners at resale time. First, Tesla cuts prices on new models constantly and without warning. When the company dropped prices by thousands of dollars overnight in 2023, everyone who bought a Model S 6 months earlier suddenly found their car worth much less. Second, technology obsolescence hits EVs harder than gas cars. The software, the battery chemistry, the charging speed. These things improve so fast that a 3-year-old Tesla starts to feel genuinely outdated. Third, there's the battery concern. Used EV buyers are nervous about battery degradation, and rightfully so. Replacing a Tesla battery pack can cost $10,000 to $20,000. And buyers factor that risk heavily into what they're willing to pay. Even if the battery is fine, the fear alone kills the resale price. Now, here's the flip side. If you're buying rather than selling, a used Model S can be an outstanding value. You get a genuinely spectacular car for a fraction of new car money. But if you're the person trading one in after a few years, prepare to take a serious hit. The Model S is proof that prestige and practicality don't always go hand in hand. BMW 7 Series. The price of German prestige. The BMW 7 Series is one of the finest automobiles ever built. It's engineered to an extraordinary level of detail, loaded with technology, and carries a badge that commands respect in every parking lot in America. It's also a money pit the moment you sign the papers. A new 7 Series will run you anywhere from $95,000 to well over $120,000, depending on trim. After 5 years, that same car will fetch somewhere between $25,000 and $40,000. A depreciation hit that can top $70,000. In percentage terms, the 7 Series routinely loses 60 to 70% of its value within 5 years. That's not a car payment. That's a second mortgage. The reasons are rooted in the nature of the car itself. The 7 Series is extraordinarily complex. It's packed with technology, sensors, adaptive systems, and luxury features that are genuinely impressive but extraordinarily expensive to repair once the warranty expires. Buyers in the used market know this. They know that a cracked iDrive screen, a failing air suspension, or a malfunctioning massage seat can mean thousands of dollars in repairs. So they price that risk into their offer. And they offer much less. On top of that, BMW releases an updated 7 Series every few years with refreshed styling and new tech. The moment a new generation lands, the prior model's resale value gets slashed again. The cycle repeats without mercy. If you've always wanted to experience the pinnacle of German motoring, buying a used 7 Series at the bottom of its depreciation curve is arguably one of the smartest used car purchases you can make. But buying new, and expecting to break even? That's a luxury you're paying for, whether you realize it or not. Cadillac Escalade, ESV. The long wheelbase, longer losses. The Cadillac Escalade ESV is an enormous, commanding vehicle, the stretched version of an already large SUV. It seats up to 8 passengers in pillowy leather comfort, towers over traffic, and carries a starting price above $85,000. It's the kind of vehicle that makes a statement the moment it rolls up. Unfortunately, the statement it makes to your wallet over time is much less flattering. The Escalade ESV depreciates at a rate that surprises most people. Within 3 years, expect to lose somewhere in the range of $30,000 to $40,000 off the original purchase price. By year 5, depreciation can exceed 50%. For a vehicle this expensive, those are brutal numbers. Part of the problem is volume. Cadillac sells a significant number of Escalades every year, which means the used market gets flooded quickly. High supply and moderately limited demand outside of certain cities and demographics keeps prices under pressure. Fleet purchases, hotels, car services, executive transport companies also push used Escalades into the market in large numbers once contracts expire. Fuel economy plays a role too. The Escalade ESV, with its large V8 engine, gets roughly 16 miles per gallon in mixed driving. When gas prices spike, the used market for thirsty trucks softens noticeably. Buyers think twice, and sellers have to drop prices to move units. Reliability concerns also weigh on resale. While Cadillac has improved significantly, the perception of complexity and potential repair costs lingers among used car buyers, especially for high-feature luxury trims loaded with technology. The result is a vehicle that impresses in the showroom but disappoints on the trade-in form. Maserati Ghibli, Italian glamour, bargain bin resale. The Maserati Ghibli might be the most dramatic example of depreciation theater on this entire list. It arrives at dealerships as a prestigious Italian sports sedan, priced around $80,000 to $90,000 new, wrapped in gorgeous sheet metal, and announced by a genuinely thrilling exhaust note. Then it hits the used market, and the drama continues, but for all the wrong reasons. A 3-year-old Ghibli can commonly be found for $30,000 to $40,000. Some examples have fallen even further. That's a depreciation rate that can exceed 55 to 60% within 3 years. For context, a Toyota Camry, a much less exciting car, holds roughly 60% of its value over the same period. The Ghibli often keeps less. Why? The Ghibli has long been seen as Maserati's entry-level car, which creates an awkward position in the market. It uses an engine that was co-developed with Ferrari, which sounds wonderful, and it is acoustically. But the car shares a platform and components with vehicles that aren't exactly Italian exotic machines. Sophisticated buyers know this, and they price their offers accordingly. Maintenance costs are the real killer for resale values. A service visit to a Maserati dealer can run $1,000 to $2,000 just for routine work. Repairs are expensive, parts are not always easy to source, and finding qualified independent mechanics is a challenge depending on where you live. All of that fear gets baked into used prices. The result is a car that offers an extraordinary used market value proposition for buyers willing to take the risk, and a genuinely painful ownership experience for anyone who bought new and expected to hold value. The Ghibli is a car you buy with your heart. Your accountant will disagree. Nissan Leaf, the EV that battery anxiety built. The Nissan Leaf deserves real credit for what it accomplished. When it launched, it was the first mass-market fully electric vehicle sold in America. It was accessible, reasonably priced, and helped introduce an entire generation of drivers to what electric transportation felt like. It also depreciates at a rate that is almost difficult to believe. A new Nissan Leaf starts around $28,000 to $32,000, depending on trim. Within 3 years, comparable used examples regularly appear in the $12,000 to $16,000 range. That's a loss of nearly 50% in 3 years. And some early Leaf models have fallen even further, with older examples available for under $8,000. The core issue is battery degradation combined with limited range. Early Leaf models had batteries that degraded noticeably in hot climates, and drivers in Arizona, Texas, and Florida reported dramatic range loss within just a few years of ownership. Nissan's thermal management system for the battery was, to put it charitably, not robust. Word spread, and used Leaf prices collapsed. Newer Leaf models have improved significantly, but the reputation stuck. Buyers approach used Leafs with deep suspicion about battery health, which forces sellers to price aggressively just to get any interest. The relatively modest range, even new models top out around 212 miles, makes buyers nervous when they're looking at a used example where real-world range may be meaningfully lower. Federal and state EV tax credits also suppress used Leaf prices. Why pay more for a used one when new EV credits can bring the cost of a fresh model closer to the used price? The Leaf is caught in an economic squeeze it may never fully escape. Valuable to buyers, painful to sellers. Volvo XC90, trusted brand, troubled resale. Volvo is a brand with a loyal following built on decades of safety excellence and Scandinavian understated elegance. The XC90 is their flagship SUV, spacious, beautifully designed, genuinely capable, and stacked with safety technology. It's also a vehicle that has persistently struggled with resale value in a competitive luxury SUV market. A new XC90 lists between $56,000 and $80,000 depending on powertrain and trim. After 3 years, comparable used examples typically sell for $35,000 to $45,000, a depreciation hit of roughly 35 to 45%. By the 5-year mark, that figure can stretch to 50% or beyond. The problem isn't quality. The XC90 is a genuinely well-built vehicle. The problem is competition. The luxury midsize SUV segment is ferociously crowded. The BMW X5, Mercedes GLE, Audi Q7, and Lexus GX all compete for the same buyers, and several of those brands carry stronger resale value reputations in the used market. When a buyer is choosing between used XC9s and used Lexus GX models, the Lexus often wins on long-term reliability perception, and Volvo takes the hit. Volvo's ownership history matters here, too. The brand has passed through Chinese ownership under Geely, which introduced understandable but unfair hesitation among some traditional American buyers about long-term parts availability and service support. Those perceptions, whether accurate or not, hurt resale. Plug-in hybrid versions of the XC90 add another wrinkle. The battery adds weight, complexity, and the same used market battery anxiety that plagues other electrified vehicles. The XC90 Recharge depreciates faster than the gasoline-only version, partly because buyers aren't sure what they're getting into with the hybrid system over time. Lincoln Continental. When discontinuation means a value cliff. The Lincoln Continental was a name with genuine American automotive royalty attached to it. Presidents rode in them. Frank Sinatra owned one. For decades, the Continental was synonymous with a particular kind of luxurious, unhurried American confidence. Then Ford discontinued it after the 2020 model year, and that history turned into a liability on the used car market. New Continental models retailed between $47,000 and $70,000 depending on trim. Today, examples from the final production years, 2019 and 2020, can be found regularly in the $18,000 to $28,000 range. Some lower trim models have fallen well below $20,000. The depreciation has been severe, with many examples losing 50 to 60% of their original value. Discontinuation is the primary culprit. When a manufacturer stops building a model entirely, the used market immediately raises concerns about future parts availability, dealer service familiarity, and the eventual difficulty of maintaining the car as it ages. Buyers attach a risk premium to discontinued vehicles, and that premium means paying less. Lincoln also suffered from a market perception problem during its final years. Ford had worked hard to reposition Lincoln as a genuine luxury competitor, and the Continental was a significant part of that effort. But the brand never fully shed its reputation as a domestic alternative for buyers who couldn't quite afford a European luxury car. That perception suppressed demand among used car buyers with options. Interior quality was genuinely impressive in top-trim Continentals, and they drive with a smooth, quiet refinement that holds up well. But buying a discontinued luxury sedan requires a buyer willing to accept the trade-offs, and those willing buyers are rare enough that sellers must discount deeply to close deals. Mercedes-Benz S-Class, the king of expensive depreciation. If there is one car that defines the concept of depreciation as a luxury tax, it is the Mercedes-Benz S-Class. This is the standard-bearer of the automotive world, the vehicle that manufacturers measure themselves against, the rolling engineering showcase that previews technologies that appear in lesser cars years later. It is, without question, one of the greatest automobiles ever built. It is also one of the most expensive to own over time. A new S-Class starts around $115,000 and can climb past $200,000 in top configurations. After 3 years, expect the car to be worth roughly $65,000 to $80,000 for standard models, and proportionally similar losses for higher trims. Over 5 years, depreciation of 50 to 60% is common. On a $150,000 car, that's $75,000 to $90,000 gone. The S-Class depreciates for many of the same reasons as the BMW 7 Series: complexity, technology obsolescence, and expensive maintenance. But it does so from an even higher price point, which amplifies every dollar lost. The S-Class is packed with systems that are extraordinary when functioning, and punishingly expensive when they aren't. Air suspension, night vision, augmented reality navigation, massage seats with heat and ventilation. These are all failure points that used car buyers have priced into their offers. Mercedes also releases new S-Class generations regularly, and each launch accelerates the depreciation of the prior generation. The W222 lost value faster when the W223 appeared. The cycle is relentless. Here is where a remarkable opportunity exists, however. A 3- or 4-year-old S-Class, especially a certified pre-owned example, offers genuinely extraordinary value for a buyer who understands the car and budgets for its maintenance. For a fraction of the new car price, you get the finest luxury sedan on earth. That's not nothing. The depreciation is painful if you're selling, but it's a gift if you're buying smart. So there you have it. 8 vehicles that are losing value faster than almost anything else on American roads right now. Some are losing money because of technology shifts, some because of market saturation, others because of discontinued production, battery anxiety, or the simple cost of complexity that scares away used car buyers. Here's the real takeaway. Depreciation is only a problem if you're on the wrong side of it. If you're selling one of these cars, it hurts. And knowing what's coming lets you plan smarter. But if you're in the market for a genuinely spectacular vehicle, and you're willing to let someone else absorb that first brutal hit of value loss, cars like the S-Class, the 7 Series, and even the Ghibli can be extraordinary buys at the bottom of their depreciation curves. The smartest car buyers in America aren't the ones buying new. They're the ones buying 2 or 3 years used, on vehicles exactly like these. Keep that in mind the next time you're on a lot, and you'll drive home in a far better position than most. If you found this valuable, hit that subscribe button. We cover the kind of financial and lifestyle intelligence that actually makes a difference. See you in the next one.